Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? Then thou must stand up and get crunk, because you are now going off with RC and Muse, and we are in the presence of apparently a Crunk Witch, so I felt it only appropriate to, introduce the festivities with a reference to a little bit of Crunk Witchery. That was a little harder than I thought it would be to say.
First and foremost, I just want to give a special thanks to the off-goers, because I tweeted this out, but I just want to lead with this, because we've said before that Going Off might be one of the most interactive podcasts out there. Because we review so many listener-requested albums, this show is almost as much as it is y'all as it is us, because...
Yeah, it's a 3G podcast. Ooh, the podcast is coming out at you.
We got the fucking smell-o-vision cards.
Right.
You can scratch along with us. Now compatible with the Oculus Rift.
Yeah, do you want to smell with this bizarre song? That smells like... You definitely don't, but...
Oh, God. Smell like you're breeding dogs.
Oh, no.
You like the...
Smells like a dog left out in the rain, but like you put a hat on its head.
Hey, you probably the type of nigga that fry bacon naked so the grease will pop you.
No one who hasn't seen that episode is going to know what we're talking about. Fucking fat father. It was, what is it? A friend that appears on one of his skits and just roasts him with shit that doesn't matter. Like, he's like...
And I like Bizarre is like, hey, well, how'd you come up with that one? And Fat Father's just like, ha ha ha, calling you tomorrow.
Where you get that one from, Nick?
Yeah, like he gets off the phone and he's just like really proud of himself. Like, I fucking did it today.
Got him.
I can go to sleep a happy man.
I popped Bizarre. No, but the reason I bring it up is because this show is so dependent on the stuff that y'all request. It really does set an episode aside and make it special. And with that said, this week's episode, I dare say, will prove to be one for the books.
Oh, you see, because wait, the thing he's referencing is, allow me to explain.
That explanation is gonna have to wait just a moment, because I'm so sorry, the books, but I do believe Crunk Witch was next in line, so we've got to talk about them, and we usually have a rule where we talk about the newer album second. But we also have a rule that typically, if we have an album that we have more to talk about, that's gonna have to come second. And I don't know about you, but I don't really have too terribly much to say about Crunk Witch by Crunk Witch, requested by Carl. Thank you, Carl, by the way. And I'm sorry for what I'm about to do. I wanted to like Crunk Witch. I really did.
You're like, they're coming with a unique sound,
Yeah.
I didn't know that anyone wanted, 50s songwriting by way of 80s singing, over-singing, wailing by way of 90s, if a video game music maker made, pop songs. I didn't know anyone wanted that fusion, but here the fuck it is.
There's a lot of questions I was left with listening to this, and one of which was, how did this come out in 2018?
Look at the people on the album cover. I think you've got your answer.
What you've got here is a husband and wife duo known collectively as Crunk Witch. Now, we've seen this before, be it your Carmen, remember them? She and Him, your Sonny and Cher.
Your Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Oh, who can forget? But this isn't it. And I like pop stuff, I like dance pop stuff.
Right.
The big breaking point, the bridge too far, is this fucker's voice.
Yep, absolutely.
My God, is he unbearable.
It is so, like, that, you know what I'm saying when I say, like, that type of over-singing, where it's just like, oh, you're putting so much into it, and then, like, it works if the musicality around it is appropriate and fitting, right? Like, if Prince fucking goes off and he's doing, like, like, the crazy shit, and it works within the context because you're feeling the rhythm, like, you've got to know where to put the over-singing. But this motherfucker just slathers that shit on like his favorite fucking peanut butter. Like, oh my lord. Like, there were certain songs where it would be like, there was basically nothing happening in the beat, and he's still just kind of going, oh, damn, and this is like, oh, come on, you gotta know this doesn't fit. You gotta know this doesn't sound right.
And I hate that Genius doesn't have lyrics provided, but for like one song, I think, has all the lyrics, but there's a song where it's just, I think it might be Buttercup?
Was that the one where it's totally not the name of the song? The name of the song is not in the actual song?
No, the one I was thinking about was Drive. Where he's doing these really snotty nasal vocals.
Oh, I'm feeling like I'm driving dry.
I see between three.
What the fuck? What are you doing?
No!
Like, he's so trying to, like, give it that extra oomph, you know, like...
I just by virtue of I was fucking over it, the worst rating I gave here was for the song Hit the Lights. I was just grossed out by this point, but I already, like, the very first track, the first note I have is, no, this is bad.
Showing it no love.
The instrumentals range from simple yet decent to obnoxious.
Yeah.
Lyrics are nothing special. Already sick of this dude's vocals, so this came out in 2018. Those are the notes I have written down for Kings and Queens. And it doesn't get any better from there.
Oh, yeah. How the fuck did he, however the fuck he's saying it. And by the way, this sounds nothing like Crunk, ladies and gentlemen. This is not Crunk music.
You really just need look no further than the album art. RC was not making that up. Here's a very specific note, because I'm just looking through here and I'm just like, God, I've got nothing to say. In the intro, when you heard, like, the single, it was like a drum hit, or like a hi-hat, I forget what. And I swear, it just sounds like the beginning of, Swimming Pools.
Yes.
Drag. Oh, God.
And the hook, like, I could swear it feels like it's from something else, but, like, yeah, it's like... Like, I know that's from something. But just, I feel like I'm driving drill!
I got a lot of different vibes from this, and they always came close to something redeemable. Like, one group I got very big vibes of was, like, Ninja Sex Party.
But they're not that funny. Like,
they're not funny! That's the thing! Like, they're playing this way too straight.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're doing over-the-top obnoxious vocals, but it doesn't seem like it's for any comical reason, so you must think that sounds good, I guess. No, I'm just trying to piece it together, because then you look at the album art, and it's like, okay, so y'all don't take yourselves seriously, I guess, and then I'm looking on Spotify, and you have an album called, like, Waiting for the Manicorn, so, like, okay, it seems like y'all are trying to do some, like, you know what you're doing is wacky, but then you listen to the lyrics, and it's just like, hey, we sure do like to party, huh?
Yeah, they don't know how to push it over into actually being wacky other than, like, the over-the-top aesthetic of, in general, what they're doing. Alright, they're trying to do 80s songs now, and maybe this is just their spit. You know, they're getting their Napoleon Dynamite on, you know, they're having a fun, cheesy time. There were certain lyrics in Kings and Queens where, like, they'd be singing certain lyrics, and then, you know, you hear the background singers singing in, like, a high-pitched voice, like, oh, baby, oh, baby.
Oh.
But it's in a really awkward way where you're just like, they know that sounds goofy, right? Like... They gotta know, And then with the way it ended, yeah, like it would be like cheesy at first with how it started. A lot of the versions start off with very doop 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 sounded fucking bleak. Sounds like the fucking Star Wars Cantina band.
Cantina, yeah, that's exactly what I heard.
But then like the synth will come in and it'll be like so strangely strong that it'll be like, that kind of seems like this. Feels like half of a serious pop song is happening, So like, and then when they had the little cutesy ending at the end with of track 1, like you hear the beat going, and they're kind of like, it feels like they're emulating sort of like 50s style, and then you hear at the end when they do the blip, 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 blip. I was like, oh, so okay, so they're aware of it, and they're kind of playing it up. Oh, but then you get track 2, where the songwriting is so overly cheesy, and then leading to the hooks, he goes like, so baby, come on down, we can play all night, won't need to see a showcase to know my price is right. And it's just like, huh? Like, Price is Right? Wait, was this about game show? And then the hook comes in, and like, okay, game shows, what's the hook gonna be? You've got me all tied up, girl, you got me all tied up, all tied up. And I'm like, all tied up? Is that a reference to it? It's like, in this game of love, all tied up. Something, something for all my days. You made us raise the bar. Well, we don't need a wheel to know how fortunate we are. And it's like, what? But so they only make 2 references to game shows in this whole song. But it's like specifically makes you think about it, but the hook has nothing to do with referencing game shows. Like none of the other parts of the verse do. It's just that part, and it's so weird because it's so cheesy and calls your attention to it, but does nothing with it right afterwards.
That's not bad wordplay, so I gotta give him credit for that. And the chorus is catchy. The all tied up, I do like that. But again, the dude ruins it. Whenever this album is starting to go in a direction where you go, that feeling does not last long.
Yeah.
Because it is almost ruined immediately. And I don't have a problem with throwback sounds because...
Of course.
A lot of music I like, I do like 80s stuff. So when someone is trying to replicate it, like
Bruno Mars or...
Carly Rae Jepsen does 80s in a modern take very well, and it doesn't feel like you're trying too hard. It just feels like, yeah, this is just the sound we went for, and it just happened to sound like the 80s.
Right.
But the feeling, again, it doesn't help that I saw the album art. This just feels like that we're trying to cash in on the 80s nostalgia imagery with the sound here.
But it sounds so much cheaper. Right?
It just feels disingenuous or not authentic. Something about it just feels, I don't know, like you just downloaded these beats for royalty free and just, because there's no feeling to it, I don't think. There's a disconnect here somewhere, and I can't put my finger on what it is exactly.
There's 1 or 2 of these songs where they go all the way into the 80s, super 80s feel, and I can enjoy it for what it's worth. Like Sweat and Burn, right?
Okay.
That's the throw on your headband and head to the gym, because, the 80s gym craze is, you know what I'm saying? It's like, sweat and burn, and it's got that, type feel. It's like, okay, I can at least get, this is gym music, and the 80s was the big gym boost. Okay, I get that, right? I was able to enjoy that enough. But yeah, when they try to do straightforward, it's just a normal song, Drive, yeah, and it just doesn't hit as hard. Or Buttercup, when I can't even remember how that went because it was so generic. No. Literally, Buttercup is not in the hook or anything like that because I remember specifically being wait, this hook is too generic to even none of the words are even special enough to remember what the phrase would be. I think it's just. Every path would be yours or something like that. I think that's part of the hook for some reason. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I wrote down one of the lyrics just as I was hearing it, him saying, tap your fingers, tap your toes.
No.
The way he was over enunciating this shit was just like, why are you saying it like this?
That was a huge low point. I couldn't fucking believe what I was listening to at that point. That was really bad.
Oh my god, Heat Wave, legit, these fucking generic ass lyrics. Light my fire, take this love higher tonight. Do I even need to say anything else?
Yeah, I was just okay.
But then, Starmageddon. I enjoyed the absolute shit out of that one.
Oh, really?
It just sounded like, they plucked a song from, an 80s fucking anime show or something like that. And so it's like, okay, all right, that's just what we're going for. I at least, I can enjoy these little moments when they're actually, like, personifying moments and feels of the 80s, right? Like the earlier track where it's like, oh, about going to the gym, personifying that, like, and this song about, oh, anime, that got really big in the 80s, so we're kind of making a song that kind of sounds like that, the style emulations for certain parts of the 80s is kind of interesting, but yeah, overall, it just, everything around that just makes it fall apart, where if it weren't for those tracks, I wouldn't even really know that they were doing an 80s thing. It would just feel like they were being cheesy, and maybe, like, took some songs that they had, like, written when they were 15 or something like that and turned it into a song. Like, that's the most energy I got out of it, right? Like, I first initially felt like you guys don't know how to write songs, and you picked up these songs from when you were like 15 and picked up all these cliches of how to write songs. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, oh, you're going for an 80s thing specifically. Oh, so the bad songwriting is just, Believe? That was the one, that was another one where they were trying to go for that, big anime robots and 80s stuff, but, like, it was too on the nose. Like, they just went, like, it was some lyric where they were like, we're in this world, but all they care about is martial arts and giant robots. And I was like, what are you even talking about? Like, what is this story about? You know what this reminded me of? This reminded me of, probably not the best part of the 80s. What was that Michael Sambello album that we reviewed?
Oh, yeah.
Godzilla! Here's a song for Godzilla! And here's a song about Rambo! If I was, like, shooting, I don't know, police officers in the 80s.
I ended up with a 1.5.
I gave it a deserved 2 out of 5.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But from there, man, there are albums that come along, and I can safely say, I don't think we ever would have listened to this if it weren't requested for us,
think you safely
right?
Can. I think you absolutely safely can.
Down what rabbit hole would we have to venture down on Spotify or Wikipedia, whatever, or YouTube, to find ourselves listening to this album specifically? I still don't know.
Chinese man in that other
album.
Yeah, you listen to a little Chinese man.
Oh my god. I forgot all about Chinese man. What this album in particular is, you got a couple musicians here. You got a duo of artists who basically specialize in just making the instrumental backing of the track, and the vocals, if there are any, are provided by sampled audio.
Oh yeah, they're trying to get the Daft Punk on over here.
After I took all my notes, because I don't want people to think I was influenced in any way, I do what I normally do, is I want to see what Fantano had to say. And surprisingly, Fantano actually did review this album like 11 or so years ago. It's
wow.
It's the old setup with like the black cardboard wall with the fucking album just kind of there. And he had mentioned their previous work, which I went and listened to for myself because I don't have any background information on the books besides this album. So when I heard Fantano say that this was them at their most accessible, I went, huh. Well, I need to see how we got to this point.
What's their most inaccessible?
It's way less instrumentation, way more minimal, way less to grab onto. It's
Are you serious?
It's barely hanging on. It's like the mere semblance of a song. Like, this album actually gives you...
what do you call this?
Like, these at least do resemble songs in some way. At least some of these do.
True.
And I guess they figured, well, we're not going to get any better than this. So this is just their last album, too. They did this and called it quits. This is the best we could possibly do. We're never going to get any better than this. Why even try again? This is it.
The books didn't want to go mainstream. They wanted to see if the mainstream would go the books.
If they would hit the books.
Right, sure. And
now I'm gonna go ahead and cut to the chase and say I really, really liked this album though. And I may have, don't tell anybody, especially not the off-goers, I may have just ordered a copy yesterday.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
I know you are a musician, and I know that there's like a rap album that you might, check out and think to yourself, this is the kind of stuff I would like to make, or this is what I would achieve. There have been times where I've been bitten by a bug or so that I want to create something. This is, no joke, the kind of music I would want to make.
Okay.
Because I really am interested in sample work.
Right, cutting and mixing obscure, samples
Obscure
and stuff.
shit. Abso-fucking-lutely.
I get that.
And what this album taps into specifically, and I don't know if the other albums are like this, but this one in particular, what I'm gonna guess they just ended up doing, because I know this is the case for at least a couple tracks on here, is that they just took a trip to the fucking thrift store, just bought a whole bunch of random shit, ranging from self-help tapes, there's some like motivational speakers, there's a Christian children's story
yes.
on one of these.
There's a 500, 700 club preacher, I think, at one point.
Yeah, there's like preaching. Not to spoil it here, but there are some answering machine tapes that pop up, and most notably, if I dare speak for the both of us here, tapes that were just labeled Talk Boy. Now, for those who don't remember what a Talk Boy was...
Oh, we're going back to Home Alone. Are we taking it
Home
back?
Alone 2! Where Kevin McAllister had the Talk Boy. These two found tapes. The father. They found a couple tapes labeled Talk Boy, brought them home, and it's just audio of siblings, at first, just kind of making fun of each other.
Yeah, man, that was the creepiest one. That was so creepy.
And then end up just talking about how they would kill each other.
Oh, man, that was so creepy.
It's creepy as hell, but yo, that was the point of the album where I was like, all right, I'm sold.
Yeah, wow, man.
I am here for it.
That was oddly enough, like, I was, on the fence for the most part. And with kind of so, but hearing that song, I was like, I don't want to hear kids talk about killing each other. This is weird. I can't just keep listening to kids talk, because I just want to be like, where are your parents?
Now, see, I will say, and I do encourage people to do this more often if there is questionable material. When this album was brought to our attention, by the way, by Relentless Boo, I forgot to name drop him at the top there.
Shout out.
I did actually receive a message warning me about A Cold Freezing Night. And RC, I'm sorry. I should have passed that message along to you, and I forgot. So...
I was like, oh my god, please tell me this is not like a tape recording of like child serial killers. Like, fucking...
I think it's harmless.
Yeah, see, okay, when you say it was just like, oh, some kids messing around, then, my brain relaxes, right? But like, it sounds like, oh my god, did they get this, like, recording from, like, a fucking, a children's,
psych ward.
Yeah, right. Like, I was like, oh my god, what is this?
See, and this already, I know this is an extremely niche, genre of recording or something.
Is there a genre of, kid making threatening requests? Is that a subgenre?
No, I'm talking specifically about the found audio, because you have movies that are like the found footage movies and stuff like that. reminds me specifically of there's a bonus track on, I want to say, the first Korn album.
I was just about to bring it up. Yeah, where it's like just this couple fighting over like a car or something.
Yeah, where they need a part for their Dodge Dart. And they're just like talking about maybe like finding a thing in the paper or something. And it's just this guy talking on the phone. And you hear his wife in the background. And they just kind of have like a typical middle-aged couple kind of argument about it.
And when you're listening to it, like, because I remember I was trying to figure out what the context was, and like I couldn't. Like, it was just so weird how they were talking, when you don't have the context for two people in the middle of a conversation,
Right, yeah, he was looking for a manifold for a 90-something Dodge Dart. That's all I remember. And at the end of it, she's just like, oh, Jesus. Like, she's just fucking had it with him. But there's that, and there's also, I think I might have mentioned this before, on Sublime's second album, they gave a tape recorder to someone they knew that lived in a building with someone in the band knew or whatever. It was like a I don't know if it was a psychiatric like home, like a halfway home, like I don't know exactly what it was. And they just let him record whatever he wanted. So there's tracks on the album where it just goes from, a song to just ramblings that don't make any sense. Then they just go nowhere. But I love that shit, even though it's always so fucking creepy.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge that it is super creepy, but something about that shit, I love it so much. So when this album is almost exclusively contextless audio clips...
So that was your catnip. That were just like, oh, what are they gonna do next?
Yeah, dude. When we got to a cold freezing night after the first couple tracks where it was group Autogenics 1, which is just kind of like it's just kind of like an intro.
Really? But I actually do enjoy that one. Like, when you're not sure what the fuck is going to happen on this album, and you just hear this introduction. First of all, it was a little slow at first, where he's just like, hello, greetings. And I'm like, oh my god, come on, snap to it.
I thought you were going to quote that for the intro to the show, by the way.
No, I totally should have done that. God damn it. But but as he goes on, he starts talking, and you hear like the music kind of fitting, kind of like, pumping up behind him, so it like feels like it's fitting this like uncomfortable move that they're going for. But then as you hear him, he's just kind of saying like, this music is specifically made to bring pleasurable effects to your mind, body, and emotions, and it'll be mixed with a warm orange colored liquid. Your body is now a glass container. You can smell the orange colored liquid, for the deeper you go, and the deeper and deeper you go, the more you feel it. And if there's saliva, swallow it and take yourself down deeper and deeper. And it's just like, where are you taking me? Am I being brainwashed? What is happening?
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it for just how much it was just like fucking you up and just being like, I don't know where I'm going to go, and I need to listen to the next track to know what the fuck is going on.
And from that one, we go to what, again, is essentially a lead-in to the next track, IDKT, which is essentially a lead-in to...
Yeah,
I didn't know that!
Yeah, so basically, I was about to be like, so you're saying this was all sampling a bunch of, like, random shit they just found at a fucking thrift store?
I'm guessing
I didn't know that!
I didn't know that!
And the way they're saying it on this song is so, like it's like a 70s, electric company thing where it's like, it's a call and response, everybody say, I didn't know that!
The vibe I got from that track was that it was like a local... cable access channel, maybe? Like a reporter talking about, like, a Little League sports game or something. That's the vibe I got. I have no idea what the context of this one is, but it's got some... It starts out, like, pretty serene, but it's got, like, weird, funky breaks throughout. Like, the musicality on this album is very unpredictable. Almost as unpredictable as... the vocal audio samples.
Right, yeah, because it's like, doesn't like IDKT, it starts with like the sound of something reeling back. Like it sounds like someone pulling back something in an old movie to like get all the film on the thing or something to that effect.
Oh, yeah.
Like it just sounds like something cocking back and getting ready. And then you just hear these soft chimes. Like just like, and it's just like, what was that gonna shoot? What was that? Why are you just showing me soft times? Am I supposed to be comfortable? Is it gonna throw me off? Like, this album just so lives in this weird, uncomfortable mood where it's just not necessarily giving you anything too much to, like, concretely grab onto, and all you could do is just, like, swing from whatever sample they're playing to whatever next sample they're playing in terms of, like, how you're supposed to feel about what the music is doing, you know? And it doesn't really help you, because, like I said, you know, most of the I didn't know that song is just people going, I didn't know that. It's just like, I didn't know, what is it? Are they going to talk about what it, like, no.
What it is?
Yeah.
No. But from there, A Cold Freezing Night,
I heard this song, I was like, did the guy who did that Gummo movie make this shit? Like,
Harmony Korine!
Yeah,
I can see it.
I was like, do you find a whole bunch of, you know, found footage and put it into a track, you know, like, I will not lie though, the beat is actually kind of like, you know, dope, was like, it's like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah!
But then it's like, every time I'm trying to like groove to the beat, it's just like, oh, I'm gonna rip off your hair and put you in the face and then shove you in your face, and then when I stab you, I'm gonna put the hair in the stab wounds. It's like, what are these kids saying?
Very creative kids. I want to know what it must be like if you were that kid and then you randomly find audio of yourself on this album. What the fuck would you think?
Like? Yeah, like, imagine that couple that, like, you know, they bought their kids a Korn album or whatever.
Oh my god.
And then they're like, you know, it's playing on their, you know, what do you call it? The fucking, I keep wanting to say headphones, but like the speakers on their fucking boombox because it's the 90s, you know. And, and they forgot to turn it off because when I was like, hey kid, turn off your damn music. Whatever. It's like, man, this song's fucking insane, but I gotta finish working on the carburetor and then I'll turn it off. And then all of a sudden they just start hearing like what sounds like their voice. Yeah, it's like, oh, who is this?
Oh god,
that's gotta be a feeling.
That fuck yeah.
Does this happen to everybody?
Oh yeah, of course. Aren't you on a new metal album? No. What? Beautiful People carries on the kind of unnerving aspect with the backwards vocals and backwards instrumentation.
It's even more than that. Like it's weird backwards vocals, and then they chop it up too. So your brain is like trying to hear what the words are, but it's just like zip it, and like you can't tell if it's forward or backwards at certain points. Where it's just like, I just can't even hear what's happening, you know.
And it's got like horns at the end too, like. When I mentioned about like how minimal the previous albums are to this one, like they really did comparatively pull out a lot of stops for this one.
What the fuck is the other album? Just like wind and rain and like the sound of fucking wind chimes? Like what is the other album?
It's fucking Breakfast with Lions, the fucking John Lennon album where it's literally just they put a tape recorder in their house and you just listen to fucking John and Yoko existing.
See,
that's what you need.
Exactly. You know, but at least they're famous enough for it to be like, oh, what are they doing about their everyday life? And you know, oh, rich people are just as boring as we are. Oh, okay.
Oh no. I Am Who I Am, I thought was a pretty dope cut.
Yeah, by the time it gets to this one, I'm like, so, you know, this is like some fucking Stephen Reich fucking shit. Like, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's gonna rain, it's gonna rain.
It's gonna rain?
Like, yeah, like those old, like, 50s, experimental composers who are like, ooh, what if we use, recorded material and looped whatever to make stuff. Basically, like, proto-hip-hop before anyone knew what hip-hop was.
Right.
It's like, what if we looped this thing? It's just like, well, I mean, if you put it to a beat, that could be a thing.
There is potential here.
Yeah, they just weren't thinking hard enough. They just needed to put an actual drum track underneath it. Then you bring the it's gonna rain. Then you have a smash hit.
Yeah.
But this one, the I Am... this is the one where, like, as the beat builds, it's so insane, because, like, at first, you know, you're hearing this feature, and, you know, you're having a moment of, like, is this a Christian techno group? Like, what's happening here? Like, I don't know how I feel about this. But then, you know, as it goes on, it's so clear that it's like, oh, they're just doing this just to mess with, like, the beat and the time. through how he's talking, right? Like the part where he says, I am who I am. Like the beat's going a certain way, but then as he talks, like the beat like messes up and convulses to his speech pattern. So it's so cool to hear that, like, and you hear the little wow, 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 wow. It's like, holy shit, that's actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one was fucking dope for sure.
I really dug that one. Chain of Missing Links. I have written down that it sounds like if Bill Nye was like super deep and spiritual.
Yeah, but it's like it's one of those things where you're like okay, so they probably got this from like a self-help thing, right? But it's like
I think so, yeah.
But it's like one of those like, you know, late 80s, early 90s self-help things where like they're trying to use what they think is science, but it's just like, oh, that's not actually science, though. It's like, yeah, like at the end of like, oh, you know, breathe in deep, and so you can use, you know, we only use 5% of our brains, and so if we breathe in and meditate, we can use so much more. But then he goes like, we can use it for food, which, first of all, that's stupid. What? You can use it for food?
Can't eat that.
Eat food. But
I've got food for food.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to use more of my brain just to feed it. To smack food against my head? Like, what?
Am I eating my brain?
All you need is a wall. Which kind of jangly and craggy. I think that was the first conventional feeling song. Like,
yeah, it's weird. It's like, comparatively speaking, it's pretty simple. Compared to the rest of the album.
Yeah.
It's just got a little noise samples just kind of thrown in.
Just stuff sort of like rattling and stuff in the background, you know, like.
Yeah.
30 Incoming started off where it's like, it's this really sweet message, and it just sounds like someone just like leaving a message and saying like,
hello Mary, call to wish you a good evening and wish you good rest and tell you how much I enjoyed our company last evening. It really felt good to lay next to you. I didn't realize how much I missed that feeling. And then later we just get, hey Robert, you get that doghouse built?
Yeah, right.
Mary, I would whip Bob good, because he ain't no Alexander Graham Bell on this telephone.
I was like,
what?
Where did that come from? And by the way, props to you, Cohen brothers over here, doing the fucking script with all the uhs in it. You know what I'm saying? You.
Oh, absolutely. Take note of all of those. Yeah, this was bizarre as hell. Yeah, it says, secondhand store, answering machine tapes. As a result, much of the meaning of this song is a mystery to everyone except Bob, Mary, and whoever was ringing them up. Yeah, I have no idea, but I loved the mystery element of this, and musically I thought it was really good too. This is the first in a string. 30 Incoming, We Brought the Flood, and Story of Hip Hop, I think might be the three strongest cuts on the album. And I couldn't help but write down for the Story of Hip Hop, the
hip hop. It started out in the park.
The fact that, like, yeah, as you're hearing this, though, it's like this old man keeps saying, hip hop.
And you suddenly realize, oh, you're not talking about the music.
Yeah.
This is...
But
it's about a grasshopper from a Christian record. Okay.
But part of me kind of wanted to be like, oh, damn, I thought they were going to, like, you know, use, like, the sample and stuff, but, like, scratch around it to make it sound like it's a story about hip-hop,
No.
you know? Like, I thought they were going to do something fun like that, but it's like, oh, no, it's just the story, but you just added some weird sound effects around it to, like, help illustrate the story, I guess, like...
I thought that one was strong as hell.
I thought that was
fun.
like, when it comes to, like, which ones are, like, the standout and you actually, you know, remember what the fuck happens all the way through.
Yeah.
That's the one that, like, really sticks out.
Free Translator is the song where they took a Bob Dylan song and fed the lyrics through a translator app a few times. And they just took note of what the lyrics came back as. So they kind of make sense, but kind of
cool.
don't.
Yeah, it has an abstractification of it where it's like, you're
Yeah.
kind of trying to figure out what it is. And like, you know, in the background you keep hearing, and I see, and I see. And so it's just like, at first, it sounds like he is just like naming things. And so it's just like, oh, and I see this. And I see this. Maybe this is like illustrating his journey of like where he is, you know.
Yeah, I think my biggest attraction to this album was that it had the ability to keep me so interested with each individual song that I really wanted to see what the next track was going to be. Like, it held my attention by being so fucking out there and just like, well, I gotta see what they do next time. And then we got the bookends. We got another group Autogenics track at the very end to kind of bring it around full circle.
Yeah, and I didn't enjoy it as much when, you know...
No.
Because it was just like, it didn't feel, weirdly enough for an album, like, it didn't feel as focused with what was going on as opposed to like the first track where it was like, it felt like it was kind of like guiding you into this weird world, you know? So like, at the, yeah, so for the end, it feels like they kind of dropped it. It doesn't feel like it's that, but that feels weird to say because like this album as a whole isn't like, it clearly doesn't have any direct direction, you know?
Like, to open the album with a track like that, where it's just kind of when you don't really know what the album is yet.
Yeah.
And it sets the tone and gives you a thing. But then the last track is so similar to the first one.
Right, and doesn't take you any weirder of a place, so it just kind of feels like, oh, you know, yeah.
Like, especially if the first track begins with, like, hello, welcome, or whatever. Maybe we should get, like, one that's like, alright, that was it.
Right.
Like, the end of the tape or something.
Oh, flip this tape over to side B, you know, something jokey like that, you know.
Yeah, I love that. Do something like that, maybe. Album that's, like, 10 years old. Retroactively fix that.
You know what you're reminding me of, though? I remember that there was a Sesame Street record from, like, the 70s my mom used to play. And I remember at the end, like, Grover, you know, the whole time he's like, oh, man, I'm not having fun. This is all stupid and dumb. And, you know, at the end they go like, well, Grover, is like, maybe you're going to have a good time now because now we're at the end of the album. And he's like, what? We are? No, I was joking. And he goes like, hey, kids, turn the record over and start it again. That's how the record ends.
Oh, my God.
But, yeah, I would have, oh man, I would have fucking marked out if I would have heard that at the end of this.
If they sample the fucking Sesame Street record.
But yeah, let me see. I think we talked about Free Trades later, but I would just say, like, I really like that one, especially because it was such a strange break from everything else. Because, like, everything else did sound, like, specifically mechanical and weird and jittery and stuff. But this one specifically was just like, oh, it's just like, you know, the guitar going, and it's just like, there's the sample of the guy going, and I see, but it's mostly just kind of like, yeah, just these words being said and just kind of like flowing on. That's interesting that you said that, though. It's like it's a translation of a Bob Dylan song. That's
it's
so
just
weird.
Fed and refed until it just barely makes sense anymore.
And certainly a way to get around copyright.
True. And that's the only thing that really makes the song, like, weird or different, because outside that, yeah, it sounds comparatively normal to the rest of the album, but like that being its only gimmick, if I dare call it a gimmick. But with all that, I ended up with a 4. How about you?
I gave it a 3. And I think that's fair. I think it's fair in, like, the, you know, Gorillaz sort of, you know, I fuck with Gorillaz heavy, but, like, you know, I would never tell you, like, Gorillaz have a perfect album, because the kind of the whole point is that they do different, you know, genres with every song, right? And so it's like, it is that sort of playing around with every song and trying to just do something different. So yeah, I can totally respect it on that level, but at the same time, that's going to come with the, you know, the reality that these tracks aren't going to hit every single time, and it's going to feel like a grab bag, ultimately. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of how I feel. It's like, there are certain tracks that are like, ooh, that's brilliant. And then there's certain tracks that are like, yeah, you didn't know how to bring this together. What the fuck is going on here? You know?
Yeah. With all that, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. And I want to thank you very much for spending your time with us this week, hanging out and checking out our episode and requesting albums for us to talk about. The queue is shrinking week by week as we get more and more of these requests knocked out. We're getting closer and closer to the magic number, at which point we will reconvene and bring that price point closer to where it originally was, because now it's a bit steep because we're trying to get the queue to be more manageable, but we're almost there. And that is Ko-fi, that is ko-fi.com/ patreon.com/goinoff, GOINOFF, if you want to request an album at the current price point, which is $120 for just a standard album that you want to hear our thoughts on, or $140 if it's an album that you made yourself, like a independent project that you want to hear our thoughts on. And I lost track of. I lost my rhythm.
You're right. Like, we just get to talking in this conversation, and it's always like, oh yeah, we go on, boom, boom, this part, no. We just go, and it's like, all right, now here's the part where we have to say these things again. Like, here's the part that's scripted.
What else was there?
Follow us on all our socials.
Yeah, you can follow us on the socials. We're both on Twitter. We got Patreons. We got Ko-fi's.
Instagrams.
Instagram for sure.
I'm fucking it up on Twitch. And you know this, man. Twitch.tv/rapcritical. We be getting our music listening on, going through the Billboard's Top 100. We're going to be on 2004 next time I start streaming, but I am in the middle of 2003 right now. And I also like to do my, sample streams where we, play songs that sample other songs and then play the song that song was sampled from, and, just enjoy and get to see people mark out where they go like, holy shit, I didn't know,
That's always fun, yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got the Riffcoms fan house rocking out. That's fanhouse.app/riffcoms. We're posting archived videos on there. The subscription price is lowered to $3. So check that out for some videos you might not have seen in quite a long time. Trying to upload to there on a fairly regular basis. But yeah. Besides that, I think that just about covers it.
Yeah.
So until next time, for Going Off, I'm Muse.
And I'm Rap Critic, and don't cast no spells, won't be no spells! Don't cast no spells, won't be no spells!
That is the end of side 1 of this record. You can turn it over now. Maybe you did not understand me. The first side of the record is finished. It is time to turn it over. Turn it over. Now this is your last chance. Oh, here goes the needle into the back and forth part of the record. Back and forth, back and forth. Please turn it over. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.